And so one of the reasons why we decided to hold this event tonight was to bring awareness to the District 1 race. The District 1 race is the home district for Deer Run. And so we invited the 3 candidates who qualified for that race in June to be here with us tonight, and I'll introduce them shortly. But I do want to make a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to thank Chip and his staff here at Metro Life Church for hosting us. They were very gracious to allow us to do this in this difficult time. I want to thank those of you who are watching at home on Facebook Live. I know we have a lot of people that didn't feel comfortable being here in person because of the current global pandemic. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time if you're there watching this. And also I want to take an opportunity to thank Deer Run 10, also known as the Kings Point Homeowners Association, because they are one of the main groups that's helped donate the funding for us to be able to do this event for you all tonight. So without further ado, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to ask Pastor Lynch of East Coast Believers Church to join me up on stage for a brief invocation, after which I will go ahead and introduce our candidates and explain what the rules for the forum will be. Pastor Lynch?
Is this okay if I do this? Notice how whenever they introduce a pastor, they say a brief invocation from the pastor. I think they're kind of segueing the way into there to keep it brief, but I always do. So if you guys wouldn't mind, just bow your heads with me as we go before the Lord in prayer. Father, I thank you, Lord, for the honor to stand before you and these people and the families that they represent, Lord. And just ask you that you would continue to shine down upon us your grace, your mercy, your love, Lord God. With all the opinions and all the travesties that are going on in this world right now, there is one thing that we know for sure, that you are God and you have not forsaken your people, Lord God. So I pray that you would release blessings into these people, into the families they represent, the causes that they stand for, Lord God, that they would continue to know that there is hope and there is freedom and there is life and love in your kingdom and your ways and your word. And I thank you for all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
All right, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to introduce what the rules are for the format tonight. So the first thing to understand is this is not your traditional debate where the candidates will be interacting with one another. But over the last week, what I've had happen is we solicited questions from the public via SaveDeerRun.com and social media, and we had people email a number of questions to us in this last week. What I have done is I have taken, since I'm moderating the debate, the responsibility of choosing what I consider to be the best 8 to 10 questions for each candidate, and each round will consist of each candidate getting a different question. They all have similar questions in that they will be speaking on the same topic, but perhaps not at the same time, if you all understand what I mean. So in the first round, for example, candidate Dallari may get a question about traffic on Eagle Circle. Candidates Morgan and candidate Shadix will likely also get a question on Eagle Circle traffic, but it may not be until, say, round 3 or round 5. We will vary the order in which everyone goes. Each candidate will have a maximum time of 3 minutes to give their response. They can go up to the full 3 minutes. We have our lovely timekeeper, Mrs. Debbie Gimbecki, who is going to be sitting next to me. And there is a clock down here with big bright red letters and numbers that will reach and count down for you. You will see Mrs. Gimbecki hold up a green card at 2 minutes to give you a warning, a black card at 1 minute, and then at 3 minutes, we're going to be very strict about this time rule. She will be holding the red stop sign, and this is a really annoying timer that I use in my classes when my young students don't know that it's time to stop talking. And so it will really shout and be that annoying clock alarm that you want to throw against the wall at 6 a.m. when it's telling you that it's time to get up. So for the benefit of all of us, so that we don't have someone, namely me, try to smash it if it goes off too many times, we would really appreciate if you would try and stick as close as you can to the 3. You think that I can get at it if it's annoying me too much, Debbie? I got a hammer under the table where I can get at it to use on that time, because it's my own. But it does serve its purpose. Each candidate will also get 3 minutes for an opening statement, 3 minutes for a closing statement. I have asked them to keep, before they agree to this debate, to keep to the rules that they will not be talking to one another, and they will not have any rebuttals or responses directly to one another. So we really want to keep this focus on the questions, give them a chance to speak to all of the residents, both those who are here tonight and also those who have joined us online. And I trust that they're all going to abide by these rules, because I know that they're two gentlemen and a lady of upstanding moral character, and I know I won't have to get my mean, cranky-faced professor up. So my students will tell you, you don't want to see me cranky. And I'm on my 3rd cappuccino for today, so I'm right on that edge. We just want to keep it clean. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce alphabetically our candidates and ask them to take their seats. Our first candidate alphabetically is candidate Bob Dallari. Go ahead and take your seat. Our second candidate, Mr. Matt Morgan. And our third candidate, Ms. Katrina Shadix. We will begin with opening statements. Mr. Dallari, since you alphabetically are the first person, we will give you 3 minutes to begin when you are ready.
You mind if we stand?
It's up to you, whatever's most comfortable.
For me, it's a little bit easier standing. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here in front of you today. It's a pleasure and a privilege to speak to the citizens here at Deer Run, and also want to thank the church for putting this together. As was stated, my name is Bob Dallari. I am your county commissioner here in Seminole County. It's truly a pleasure and a privilege to serve you. I consider myself an elected official, not a politician. There's a big difference. I represent you. I've been living in the area, Vito in District 1 since 1989. I know the area extremely well. One of my hobbies that I have is I actually do a lot of walking. I walk most of the roads and trails here, not just in District 1, but in the county on a regular basis. In fact, I was kidding around with someone in the back that sometimes the county staff sometimes feels annoyed because I take a lot of photos of sidewalks, streets, light poles, potholes, et cetera, on a regular basis, and text them and email them. And you'd be amazed how things get fixed. It's been a pleasure representing you over the past years. I pride myself in being your elected official. I truly have an open door policy. I represent you at all times. I'll also tell you that one of the things that I pride myself on is trying to keep taxes low. We're one of the lowest tax rate regions in the area. I work well with all the elected officials, not just on the county level, the regional level, but the city level. Prior to being a county commissioner, I represented the city of Oviedo as a city council member for a number of years as well. And it's truly a pleasure to be here tonight. Looking forward to getting to the issues and trying to help Deer Run. Thank you.
Candidate Dallari. Our second candidate this evening is the current mayor of Longwood, Mr. Matt Morgan. Mr. Morgan, welcome. It should be. No, you're fine.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor Matt Morgan from Longwood. I want to thank everyone for coming on out. First of all, Deer Run for making this happen. The church for letting everyone come out in a very tough situation right now. My mask will not stay up to save my life, so I apologize. Look, where to begin? How in the blue hell does a professional wrestler get in the world of politics? That's got to be the number one question, right? Definitely not the most easiest transition, that's for sure. But I think one that many parents here can understand and identify with. Your galaxy changes the minute you have a child. It just does. I was in the prime of my wrestling career, about to go back to World Wrestling Entertainment at a major pay-per-view with them. Had my gear picked out, had my boots picked out, it was a done deal, locked. January 21st, I was going back. Jackson Morgan, my son, was born January 7th. And it changed my world. It took me and my wife 12 years to have this child. 7 bouts of IVF with Dixie, none of them worked. The only thing that worked was this man up here, God, praying him every single night for 12 years. And once that boy was born, I called WWE, let them know I'm retiring. They're like, what? We just about to resign you. What are you doing? And I was like, I wasn't planning on the switch going off in my head, but it did. 2.5 years later, my son was diagnosed as nonverbal autistic. That's when I really started to yank that curtain back to see who makes decisions around here in the environment my little boy's going to grow up in. Then realize that's not it's not a novel concept. That's every parent's concern. I have a very different vehicle, a very different platform that I'm very proud of and I use to my advantage, and more importantly, to those who I represent's advantage. Let's be very clear. I'm not an elected official. I'm not a politician. I am your 7-foot, 300-pound conduit. I am your 7-foot, 300-pound megaphone. Doesn't matter what I think is best. It's supposed to be what you all think is best. Hell, this chair up here isn't even mine. It's yours. Same on the county commission dais. It is the district in which you represent chair, temporarily. I believe in term limits, and I'm going to do my darndest to pass them. Thank you for this very blessed opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. Our final candidate that's here with us this evening is Ms. Katrina Shadix. Ms. Shadix?
Can you hear me? Yes. First of all, thanks for having me here. I do feel bad that y'all had to pay for this venue. And maybe in the future, the county can provide maybe the county service, the county building for people to have these kind of meetings, because I just don't think it's right that y'all have to pay to rent this for us to tell you about ourselves. But I am glad that you're here. I'm glad that you did this and that you want to hear from us. I was born and raised in Seminole County. My family moved to Seminole County in 1940 from Louisiana. And my mom was born in 1947 in the Sanford Hospital. And for those of you who haven't been here that long, the Sanford Hospital is no longer here. It is now the County Commissioner building. So my mom is really excited and about the possibility of me winning and serving the public in the building that she was born in. So that's kind of a goal of ours. My family's looking really forward to this. But I am a product of Seminole County Public Schools, and my son is 22 years old. He is also a product of Seminole County Public Schools. He just got his first AA degree from Seminole State College. He'll have his AS in December, and then he's transferring to UCF for engineering. I also graduated from Seminole State College with honors and absolutely loved that school, especially the Oviedo campus, very nature. And it will be no surprise if any of y'all know me, I was the president of the environmental club for the college. And my parents' first house that they bought was right around the corner on Mark David. It was destroyed a few years ago. There's a retention pond there with a fence around it, but that's where they bought their first house when I was about 2, so about 1970. And so it's sad to see it torn down, but I'm here. I've been here for my whole life. I'm not leaving. Half of my family lives in Chiliota. The other half is buried in the Chiliota Cemetery. I'm not going anywhere. I'm standing up for the people of Seminole County. I'm a hometown girl, and you'll find out probably later on in this that I am a very strong voice for the voiceless, for our citizens, and I don't back down, and I'm not afraid of anything. And they call me Mama Bear, if that tells you anything about my personality. I'm sweet until we get down to business, and then I don't put up with any nonsense. So I hope y'all will vote for me so I can represent you for the county. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, all three candidates, for keeping your opening statements brief, because that will give us more time to dig into the questions. So for our first round, we're going to give the first question to candidate Dallari. Your first question is, what is your one finest moment as a county commissioner?
I will tell you that representing the public is truly a privilege. Probably my finest moment is not just one particular moment, it's a series of moments. And I say that because we've been able to keep taxes low with your money. We've been able to keep our reserves appropriately above the 20% mark. We've been able to live within our means during the downturn of the economy in 2007, 2008, when the housing market crashed. We were able to cut our budget effectively so that we could keep services without raising taxes. In fact, in 2010, we actually lowered taxes. Lowering taxes and keeping people be able to live within their means is our core values. So probably my finest moment is a series of moments. It's to make sure that Seminole County is right-sized, make sure that the county has been able to live within its means and to keep taxes low. If you look at Seminole County as a region, we are one of the lowest tax rates in the entire region. We have probably one of the highest quality of life in the entire region. It's a little difficult to talk about this, but we pride ourselves on that. In fact, during the downturn in the economy, we actually got a rating increase from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. That was not an easy task. I was actually on a team that actually went up to New York for that. So, Deborah, my finest moment in the county is keep taxes low and keeping the county living within its means. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is for you, Mr. Morgan. What is your proudest accomplishment during your time on the Longwood City Commission?
Very similar, and not to, you don't want to say, oh, I have so many to list, because that sounds a little arrogant and braggadocious, right? But look, at the end of the day, the city of Longwood, we've completely rebranded. The city of Longwood is no longer, no one's calling it Wrongwood, they're not calling it Longwood, they're calling it Strongwood. They're calling it Strongwood for strong moral values, strong family values, and strong work ethic. And our city's finally got themselves an identity, all right? And that's not out of my mouth, that's out of the various reporters that have come into our city to cover the massive changes we've updated our city with. We put a $4.5 million Ryder Park. It's now this nucleus of our city right now. We've been able to bring in Publix, LA Fitness, 2 Starbucks, Taco Bell. We've all done it in a relatively short time, within the last 2.5 years. My biggest personal, goal is when I heard the Lyman High School football team didn't have anti-concussion football helmets. I saw a coach trying to do an online fundraiser. It wasn't working. So I took it upon myself to reach out to some friends of mine in the professional wrestling business, and we put on a professional wrestling event at our new $4.5 million Ryder Park and asked for suggested donations. We raised $20,000 2 hours later, and now those kids are all covered with anti-concussion football helmets. Our youth is the most important thing to me personally. If we're not bridging the gap between us and our demographic right now and those coming after us, what in the world are we doing this for? I want no part of this if we're not doing anything to bridge that gap and get our kids ready. And that's a very, very important thing for me to be able to take care of their mental health. Mental health is a very big deal to me, and I know it is to many concerned parents all across Seminole County. So again, these are $350 helmets a piece. So be able to cover varsity, junior varsity, freshman team with those helmets when they weren't going to get them. Personally, that's a very, very proud accomplishment. Thank you.
Ms. Shadix, the next question is for you. As an environmental advocate, what are you most proud of having accomplished?
I think it would have to be something that happened earlier this year, and well, it was a bucket list of mine from the time I was a little girl to get a law passed that either helped wildlife or the environment. I've always wanted to be a lobbyist for the environment, or for children, or for wildlife, for entities that have no voice, that can't stand up for themselves. So back in 2015, I don't know if y'all remember, Florida had their first bear hunt in 21 years, and there were 300 bears killed in less than 2 days, and that included mothers and cubs. There were a hunter that bragged about shooting a mother bear as she was nursing her cubs and kicking the cubs off of the mother bear's dead body. That was very upsetting for a lot of us. So I worked for the following years and started going to the FWC meetings to speak out against the hunt. And they had it that 1 year, and they have not had it since, because we were such a big voice, and we took our arguments to the FWC, which is the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, which is one of the most, I would say one of the most powerful agencies in the state. And we gave them good argument and rational argument, and they decided not to have a bear hunt. So once we stopped the bear hunt, I realized the FWC kills bears in another way, which is killing them for going into trash. And they did that a lot before the hunt. And I was at an Orange County commission meeting a couple years ago, speaking in favor of getting a trash ordinance, which helped people, get their bear-proof trash cans. The FWC approached me and said, and at this time we were bitter enemies, because this is the agency that ordered the killing of all of these bears. And 2 of the representatives came up to me and said, you know what, we'd love to work with you. We want to show you what we go through when people complain about their trash. So I went with them. That started a whole, I started my own nonprofit organization where I help people secure their trash. I've saved over $250,000 of our citizens because they don't have to buy these $300 trash cans. I give them the strap, they're back on the table if anyone needs one, feel free to take them. But we do this effectively, inexpensively, and we it's a nice community feel to it. So once we got the hunt stopped, we got trash secured, so they stopped coming that way. Then we have another problem, poaching. People were killing these bears for their gallbladders to sell on the Asian black market. So I created a bill, and I took it to Tallahassee. I worked across party lines, which I'm kind of known for, and it's what I thrive on doing. It's we put principles above politics. And I worked with Republican House Representative David Smith, and my bear poaching bill, which increases the fines and penalties for killing bears, passed unanimously, and the governor signed it into law just a couple months ago. So that was my greatest thing. I'm super excited. You can clap, it's awesome.
Thank you. Our second round of questions, we're going to start with you, Mr. Morgan. Deer Run is located in unincorporated Seminole County, but is surrounded by the city of Casselberry and the city of Winter Springs. How would you work with elected officials from other agencies to best serve the interest of Deer Run residents, especially if either city attempted to annex portions of Deer Run without resident support?
Without resident support, what you say?
Yes.
Very clearly. First and foremost, this job is, to me, very black and white. And it's what I alluded to earlier. And if you watch the City of Longwood City Commission meetings, I'm thinking you guys aren't doing. But if you did, it's on Facebook Live every single commission meeting. I put that into play for a reason, because I want the entire city to be emotionally invested in every single thing that gets done in the City of Longwood. Everything, budget meetings, everything is in the daylight for a reason. So for your question, it would be more of, again, being who I say I am and being the people's conduit. And you have to have a very good working relationship with your city commissions to do so. For years, there's been a Great Wall of China, bigger than 7-foot Mount Morgan even, yes, of blockage between city commissions and the county commission. Ask any city commissioner that's not up for re-election right now, that question, and they'll tell you the truth. There's a huge wall between the two. And one of my main goals would obviously, besides putting in time limits, besides giving more daylight to all of our meetings, because you guys get your news from different platforms. Everybody uses different social media now to get their news. Our county commission meetings need to be on every single one of those, not just one network. All right? Most importantly, again, bridge the gap between this huge separation between county elected officials and city elected officials. Who knows their city better than those city elected officials? Not the county elected officials. And I speak from experience. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Mrs. Shadix, the next question's to you. What are the 3 most important issues that are a part of your campaign platform?
First and foremost, I think it is not only mine, but the entire county and the entire state, and that is our water quality and quantity. We know, I don't have to say what's going on in the news, but it is we are having a water crisis. We can have droughts at the same time we're having flooding. And that happens because we have a lot of unchecked growth and urban sprawl. And when they do that, that creates impervious surfaces. The concrete, the asphalt, and when it rains, normally rain goes into our little recharge areas like our wetlands, retention ponds, and it filters down into our aquifer. That's not happening right now. There was just an article this week that the Little Wekiva is drying up. And with this being such an important issue, water is life. We don't survive if we don't have clean drinking water. And if we keep building all of this development and creating all of these impervious surfaces, we're going to have surface flooding. Like right now, we could go outside and we're probably going to have a flooded parking lot. The streets might be flooded, but our aquifer is in a drought because that water cannot get down into our aquifer. So first and foremost, water. I'm an expert at finding experts. I will not sit on the dais and tell y'all what I think is best. I'm going to find the water experts, the developer experts, whatever, education experts, and have them create a plan and give the county commissioners information, because I don't think elected representatives are to represent the people, not to get up on a throne and act like we know everything and make all these decisions for the people. So water first and foremost. Second, we're going to get this uncontrolled development in check. That is the main issue that I hear from everybody. You know, it doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are, what socioeconomic class you're in. We are all sick of the urban sprawl. I want to give incentive to developers and builders to be ethical and responsible when they build. And that might be, say, giving them a discount on impact fees. So if they build within the city where there's already impervious surfaces, let's give them a discount. Let's incentivize smart development. And then as far as developing where they have to destroy, say, a golf course or a forest or anywhere, you know, that doesn't have an impervious surfaces, fight tooth and nail. But I will not allow it. There's no need to it. We have so many blighted areas in this county, along 1792 is one of them. Redevelop those areas and reinvest in those communities. We don't have to keep creating more impervious surfaces. The third would be change meeting times. That's the other thing. It seems like a simple thing, but so many people cannot make it to a county commissioner meeting at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. So I have a plan for that, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Last question this round is for candidate Dallari. The former country club at Deer Run Golf Course is currently overgrown with weeds, uncut grass, broken fences, and clogged waterways. Seminole County Code Enforcement has attempted to help the golf course owner bring the property into compliance, but improvements have been slow to be made. As a commissioner, what could you do to help remedy this situation?
Thank you, Deborah. First, I want to give you a little bit of history. We had a similar problem, Rolling Hills, over in the Longwood area, just outside of Longwood, and myself and Commissioner Constantine, who's sitting in the back, actually spearheaded the changing of the county ordinance. It used to be that the county ordinance was the grass had to be above 24 inches. So Commissioner Constantine, actually during a county commission meeting, said, you know, I'm probably going to ask us to reduce it to 12 inches. I'd love to go lower. I looked at Commissioner Constantine in the public meeting and said, go for it. He says, how about 8? I said, I'll second that motion. Boom, that's how you get 8 inches mandatory across the entire county. So thank you, Commissioner Constantine. What I've done in the past, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, a couple of your neighbors reached out to me. I actually rode around the golf course with code enforcement. To say that the golf course is a travesty is an understatement. There is more dead trees, not just standing, but on the side, laying down, than you can actually see standing up. Code enforcement is now getting involved. I believe they're opening up a case. Code enforcement is a little bit of an issue because they're not the county commission. They have to operate independent. But I will tell you, code enforcement is now getting involved, and they are looking at this very seriously. I was told that they actually had various members of the sheriff coming out here, as well as the owner of the golf course. You may have seen some big equipment on the golf course lately, and I believe that with code enforcement and the owner now getting engaged, you'll see some changes. And with what Constantine and I did a couple of years ago, and what code enforcement's about ready to do, you will see some changes.
Thank you. For the next round of questions, we'll begin with you, Ms. Shadix. Your question is, if elected as the District 1 Commissioner, would you pledge to support county efforts to purchase the former Deer Run Golf Course to turn it into a passive recreation park? And if so, how would you pay for it?
Well, I can say this is kind of my jam. I have been in your shoes. I'm still in your shoes. I've been fighting development for several years. I have great colleagues. I have a wonderful environmental attorney, and currently I actually sued my organization, Bear Warriors United. I'm director of a 501c3 nonprofit which focuses on environmental, wildlife habitat protections, and which is conservation lands all throughout Seminole County. But we've worked, I sued, who did I sue? I sued a few. She'll call, when I call her, she's like, who do you want to sue today? Because developers are out of control. I can't tell you how bad this system is, the status quo politics for the past 20 years for our developers, it's got to stop. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running. It's one of most things I'm passionate about. But I think it's the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, because they issued a dredge and fill permit for the Wakaiva headwaters. The headwaters of the Wakaiva River were filled in. The U.S. Army Corps issued a permit to do that after the city of Orlando, Buddy Dyer, and every city council member voted to change zoning, voted to change the Wakaiva headwaters to an industrial park. There's now warehouses sitting where this forest used to be. So I actually sued the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for issuing that permit and went to court. And come to find out, the judge determined that it was a moot point and that the damage was already done. The U.S. Army Corps admitted that there was damage to the environment, to the wetlands, and said they were not denying that, but the judge said because the damage was done, there's nothing he could do about it. So that's why we have to start in our county commission. We have to prevent commissioners from voting for developers. It's got to stop, because that's where it needs to stop. By the time it gets to where I am with suing U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, or say like Orange County Commission, who violated their own growth ordinance or their own growth policy, it's too late. Like the judge said, the damage is done. We have to start in the chambers. We have to get people involved, and the commissioners must start listening to all of the citizens that come into these meetings, because this isn't, I don't live in Deer Run, but y'all do. And commissioners need to listen to y'all. If y'all don't want that golf course developed, then it shouldn't be developed. I don't care what developer has donated to what campaign or what influence they have over our commissioners or over the county. It's got to stop. We have to start listening to the citizens. The citizens know better, and I'm here to completely prevent any kind of development on the golf course. As far as paying for it, that's something, it's a very long process to pay for it, but totally open to making that happen, making Kevin pay for it any way we can.
Thank you. Next question is for you, candidate Dallari. You have claimed in the past that you are, quote, a defender of the rural boundary in Seminole County. In what ways have you specifically acted to protect land currently located in the rural boundary area?
It started for me in 2003. In 2003, the county as a whole started talking about the rural boundary, the rural area on the east side of Seminole County. At that time, I was with the city of Oviedo. I actually was the chairman of the city of Oviedo back then, and we helped the county get that passed. We saw a need. There was runaway growth on that eastern part of the county. What the rural boundary does, it not only protects the eastern part of the county from being developed, it also protects the western part of the county for cost, because growth and the infrastructure that growth does not pay for itself. You have to make sure that the growth and the infrastructure is in the urban core area. That's the reason, one of the reasons why I got behind it and still behind it. Several times since then, when I came to the county level, there's been various developers and or engineers that have come to us. One in particular is Charlie Madden. He's come to us a couple times to try to develop in the rural area. I've told him no. Recently, back in 2017, now 2018, there was another developer that came to us who wants to develop in the Chilliwack area. I'm not going to mention names or actually specific, because there's a pending lawsuit regarding that. You can read it in the newspaper. You can see it on the news. He said no again. Then that developer came up with an idea about swapping a piece of property, and you may have heard in the news, stop the swap. Commissioners constantly made a motion to deny it. I accepted it. We voted against it again. So I've actually voted against the rural boundary, or protecting the rural boundary, several times. I don't have to sign a pledge. I live the pledge. I am the pledge. I will prevent people from developing the rural boundary. It's important that we actually save that part of the area of Seminole County, not just for development, but for the future. And the reason why I say that is because most people may not realize that there is saltwater intrusion coming from the coast as it comes across the entire coast. If you're an engineer, you understand these things. If you're an environmentalist, you also. It actually taints the water that we're actually trying to drink. That's actually a barrier to stop that. So it helps the people in the urban area. It also helps the people in the urban area keep their taxes low, so we don't have to spend additional money for infrastructure. That's the reason why I've stopped as many times the rural area from being developed, and I will always do that. So if you want to develop the rural area, you need to come through me. That's the reason why I have opponents, because I've said that. People are backing my opponents because of it. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, you have the next question, and it really should not be a surprise because it's about the rural boundary. So your turn. If elected as a county commissioner, would you support the idea of removing a parcel of land currently protected by the rural boundary to allow it to be developed? Please explain your answers.
Before we start, I'm not allowed to go back with that.
No, you may address things in your closing statement if you wish.
Answer that one.
You want me to ask the question again? Okay. If elected as a county commissioner, would you ever support the idea of removing a parcel of land currently protected by the rural boundary area to allow for it to be developed?
No. Good Lord, no, and more no. Listen, with someone who actually has skin in the game, with a son, with a wife, a family, that's going to be moving to the east side, why in God's green earth would we want to take away the very last piece of real green space we have in Seminole County? I'll push it further. Why don't we have tougher language, all right, where it would take 5 votes from the county commission to do anything regarding changing rules to this rural boundary legislatively? Why not? Put your money where your mouth is. Why every single 4-year election cycle they create this intimidating boogeyman that don't vote for this person because if you do, they're going to take care of the rural boundary. They're going to develop Taj Mahal on it. Nobody wants to develop on the rural boundary. There's literally nobody I know that wants to develop on it. It doesn't have the infrastructure even in place to do such. It's done to make you all get scared. That's why they do it. And we can go into countless times about why they had shade meetings before they voted no, or before everybody showed up with their pitchforks and lanterns to put pressure on them to vote no, but I won't say any of that. Instead, everything I say comes straight from the gut, and it is, one last time, no. The rural boundary is what separates us from other counties. We should be trumpeting this more, if anything. We should be having signs out there that you're actually in the rural boundary. We need to be schooling the west side of Seminole County about the rural boundary. All right? This is something we should be advertising and talking about and wanting our kids to go out and experience. Again, it's the last literally big, huge green space we have in Seminole County. And I don't know about you, I'd rather have a 7-foot tall, 300-pound former world champion defending me any day of the week. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, going to our next round of questions, we'll begin with you, candidate Dallari. If someone were to call you a, quote, career politician, what would be your response to that claim?
First of all, that's not correct. I actually served on the city council of Oviedo for 8 years. I actually learned a lot about local government, how to get things done. I graduated to the county commission after 8 years of working on the city council because I understood that my need to get things done needed to be done on a bigger level, i.e. roads, i.e. water. To build a road anywhere, either in the city or county, could take at least 10 to 20 years. To get water initiatives done would take easily that much time. I actually work for Walt Disney World. I have a real job. I've been furloughed since April, so I know how it is to do without an income. It's important that you actually have people that can shepherd these projects through, that it's going to be a mainstay to get these projects done. I will tell you that when DOT wanted to widen the 417 from Orange County all the way up to Lake Jessup, and they want to put another toll, so you get on a highway, you pay the toll, and you want to pay another toll to ride the express lane. I stopped that. I nicknamed it a toll to the toll. I made it right about in the newspaper. I was quoted in the newspaper by saying that's the most dumbest thing the secretary must come up with. He must have been smoking crack. And yes, they did quote me. Secretary wasn't smoking crack, but I got my point across. We stopped it. They were hoping I wasn't going to run again, but I did. Next time I came back to do this, I insisted that we put on the agenda that we actually had a letter from the secretary assuring us that there would not be an additional toll. We have that letter. Same thing with Ocado Parkway. Ocado Parkway going through the western part of the county. There's some problems with it. I've actually stopped that to make sure that we actually have the right things that they actually agreed to a number of years ago. Same thing with I-4. I-4, they approved it. After I started looking at the plans, I found out that it wasn't safe for the fire department. So we're actually making them go back to fix these things. So it's important that we have continuity. It's important that you actually have someone here that's a watchdog to know and understand how things get done and actually has the experience. 2004, after 2007, 2008, I was here during the downturn in the economy. I was able to get the economy back and running with my fellow commissioners. I have the experience. I don't need on-the-job training. I can get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is yours, Mr. Morgan. You currently live in the city of Longwood. Longwood is located in District 2. Why did you decide to run for office in a district where you don't currently live when you could have run for the same office without moving into District 1?
Right. Great question. First and foremost, because again, I'm a family man, and my wife has a mega opportunity for a huge, pretty deal. I don't want to curse it, but we have to live in the city of Oviedo for that to come true. Come January 2021, which means I want to be able to rerun in Longwood. And I love public service, and I'm damn good at it. I'm good at it, not because I think I know everything, but because I'm out everywhere all at once, and getting all the different opinions of what every resident wants done. I mean, that's not a majority. All right, we were the first city in the southeast region of the states to pass Facebook Live with our city commission meetings. All right, that changed the game in Longwood. Instead of having 16 people present, we now had up to 4,000 on the high end of people paying attention to policies that normally they would never care about or even come in to learn about. Because again, city commission meetings, a lot of people think they're boring. My job was to try to change that. But back to why I'm living moving to that district. When I retired in that delivery room holding my son, I also told my wife, it's your turn. You followed me from Hawaii to Connecticut to New Jersey to Kentucky to Florida, chasing my 6-year-old boyhood dreams of being a WWE superstar. I can't follow you to Oviedo. Are you kidding me? No. Me and my wife are a tag team. I love her to death, and I will always support her. So this is why. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shadix, do you have the next question? Traffic is a horrible problem on Eagle Circle, which is the main road that goes through the majority of the Deer Run subdivision. It's especially bad during drop-off and pickup for Sterling Park Elementary. What are your ideas on how to help improve traffic flow on Eagle Circle?
My idea would not try to attempt to be the expert at that. Y'all live it every day. You are the best people to tell the commission what's going on and how it should be fixed. That's just how a lot of things go awry in county and cities, is because there's not a lot of public participation. The public doesn't know who they go to for traffic problems or for zoning violations. So one of the things that I would want to do is definitely incorporate more public input. I would want a citizen advisory committee from Deer Run to advise the commission. Not come to the commission meetings and beg us to do the right thing. You come to the commissioners and tell us what you want. Your tax dollars pay commissioners. Your tax dollars pay for every single thing that makes this county function. You should be telling us how it should be fixed. We shouldn't be telling you. So that being said, like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and try to act like I know everything. Y'all know, that'd be like someone from Sanford coming out to the rural boundary where I live and telling me what they think it needs to be done. I know best. I live it. I live it every day. I've lived it for 52 years. So for the people, I don't remember when I used to live here, when I was 2, so 50 years ago. So I would so strongly encourage this community to get together a citizen advisory council now, so you can hit the floor running, hopefully when I get elected, if not, when they get elected, but you need to come to the commission immediately with your suggestions on how it gets fixed. And the county can help you with all of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Morgan, you are the start of our next round. Your question is, many voters rely on voter guides like the one put out every election by the League of Women Voters. We noticed that as of today, You have not yet completed that questionnaire, or at least the League of Women Voters hasn't posted it on their website. Do you plan to complete this, or will you offer voters another way to view your platform in writing?
Yes, absolutely. You can see my platform in a litany of different places. My website, my Facebook page. More important, pick up the phone and call me. That is my advice to every single one of you in every election. Don't believe what you read. Don't believe what you hear in commercials. Talk to the person in person. You guys have the best, I don't run a church, but the best BS detector known to man. You all possess it. By talking to these candidates, you'll know which ones are real and which ones are sitting up here being drawstring, regurgitating, talking point politicians. All right, I talk very different for a reason, not because I'm uneducated. I'm the first college graduate in my family, but because I believe in always talking straight from your heart and straight from your gut. Not to sound cliche, but that's how I've always done everything here, and it's been very successful in the city of Longwood, and it will be on the county level as well. I'd also like to point out, piggybacking a little bit on what Katrina said earlier, this is why we have got to get you all way more included with these county commission meetings. You all need to, many more of you need to know what is going on in your own backyard, and we need to serve it on a silver platter if that's what we need to do for you all to view it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it takes. When you're on your time feeds, on your timelines, eating dinner with your family, these county commission meetings need to be popping up. We need to take it to you, not the other way around. Oh, sorry, we tried, when I show up to the commission meeting, oh, you couldn't be there early in the morning, sorry. No, that's not public service. Last but not least, this will not be a part-time job for me. This will be a full-time job for me. I want to repeat that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Shadix, the next question is for you. Why is the District 1 seat for County Commission the third elected office you have sought in the last 2 years?
Because I have realized that I kind of have a gift of working with everyone. I don't let political party affiliation affect anything. Matter of fact, have worked with both Bob and Matt. I've gone to Matt to ask the city of Longwood to pass a hunt-on tract. I won't get into the brutality, it's very graphic. I've also gone to Bob and asked Bob to help get a land buying program on the ballot. So I am very, I get along with everyone. I'm a bridge builder. I love having open lines of communication. So seeking public office is something that kind of just came naturally. When I saw, I was the one attending these county meetings. I was the one sitting in the audience. I was the one taking time off from work, losing pay, hiring babysitters. I know some people have to do that. Taking my time and my energy and stress and losing sleep, going to these meetings in the middle of the day, and you wouldn't know this now, but I have fear of public speaking. Every time I got up to talk to the commissioners to ask them, don't pass this ordinance for development, or do this or don't do that, I was a nervous wreck inside, like it wipes me out the next day. So I realized that I had a voice and that I can use it, and that if you approach people and get involved at the local level, you can be successful in a lot of stuff. So, you know, I just sort of got sick of spilling my heart and soul at the podium to our commissioners and then hearing, thank you, next. At some point, you gotta kick up your game. That's why I'm running for office, because I want to be in that position to make those decisions so y'all don't have to come crawling to the commission, begging and pleading to do the right thing. You need a citizen advocate up on that dais, and that's why I'm running for office, because I'm a voice for the citizens, and I'm strong, and I'm ethical, and I'm uncorruptible, and I will always listen and always fight the hardest for whatever issue is going on.
Thank you. Candidate Dallari, yours is the next question. Heavy traffic congestion and speeding are constant problems on Eagle Circle. The road is approximately 3 miles. Only 1/4 of that road actually has speed bumps. What would you do to improve traffic conditions on Eagle Circle, and would you consider installing additional speed bumps as a part of your solution?
Thank you, Deborah. About a year ago, we started a pilot program. In fact, I sponsored it because of the similar problem that we had in Chiliota. We did a pilot program, one example in each district, so 5 different locations throughout the county. And we're getting that results at the next county committee, actually next Tuesday. we're actually be looking at those results. There's speed tables that we're looking at. They're not speed bumps, they're speed tables. And if you go to Chiliad on 8th Street, you actually see them. They actually have separation between them so that emergency management vehicles with the wide displacement trucks can actually get through it without going over the humps, because that was one of the biggest problems we had, was people in the back of an ambulance when they're being treated going over those tables. So with the speed tables that were actually installed, it actually works. We're actually looking at this coming Tuesday. It's a project that I sponsored, and the commissioners will put in each one of the tables in each one of their districts. The other thing about Eagle Circle is that there's an issue on Eagle Circle and Red Bluff Lake Road, where that apartment complex in Casselberry that got built. That intersection truly needs to be looked at. It needs to be looked at for turn lanes, because the way they've done it right now, I've actually traveled a couple times. It's more of a hazard than it is an asset, and we'll be looking at that as well. I wasn't aware that they did that, and it's just wrong. But we should also be looking at additional speed tables, not humps, throughout Eagle Circle. The other thing we should be looking at is improving the drainage, because with that, you're going to have drainage issues because of the flow of water on the road for the sheet flow. That's one of the assets that I have from a technical standpoint. I actually understand some of these things, and I'm able to work with staff and actually know that language. So when it comes to Eagle Circle, additional speed tables, but what we do is, what we did in those districts, we actually asked the citizens for citizen input in that area. We try to get 60% of the vote in around those areas to see if it's something that they want. Some people don't want them, and we wouldn't put them in. So it's that open communication that's also important. Thank you.
Our next question begins with you, Ms. Shadix, and here is your rural boundary question. What is your position on amending the current voter-approved rural boundary to allow for future development in the eastern portion of the county?
It will happen over my dead body. There is not going to be any property taken out of the rural boundary, ever, as long as I'm living. And for the past 2 years, we've seen that there are real threats to the rural boundary. And Commissioner Dallari can't mention the name, but I can. His name is Chris Dorworth. He's the developer that wanted to build river cross in the rural boundary. 2 years ago when this battle started, 2 years ago when this battle started, that's why I actually ran for office. I realized that Commissioner Zimbauer was taking a lot of developer money from the same people that wanted to develop in the rural boundary, which was river cross. And I had never been in politics before. I'd always been the activist. I always went at the podium begging, do the right thing, do the right thing. And someone came to me and was like, you have to run. You know, you have to, this is, I'm like, yeah, I've never done this before. And there's no manual to be, you know, an elected official, which I think is an advantage in my case. So I went to the guy who was running against Commissioner Zimbauer in the Republican primary, Don Menzel. I said, hey, Don, can you guarantee me that you can beat Zimbauer? He's like, I can. I go, then I got to try to take him out in the general, because we cannot let development happen. And the people voted for the rural boundary. We voted to put land in protections, and that's not going to be destroyed by someone who wants to make a lot of money. But that being said, very passionate about the rural boundary. I actually reached out. Well, actually, Chris Dorworth reached out to me, and he said, you know, you were my most formidable opponent to River Cross. I don't want to feel your wrath again. And I said, well, don't cut down any trees, and you won't. Don't destroy bear habitat, you won't. I actually threatened to sue Mr. Dorworth at the podium. I had my attorney, I had a court reporter, and I didn't have to sue him, because I said, I will sue you if you develop 1 inch of the rural boundary. And he ended up not. But what I want to encourage everyone is, you know, we have the big shiny object over here, Chris Dorworth. There are 20 other developers that are getting things through while none of us are paying attention to them. Do you know how many developments have been approved since River Cross came down the pike 2 years ago? A lot. And if we could do an aerial shot of Seminole County from 20 years ago to where it is today, you see a lot less green area. But on a positive note, I got 21 seconds left. I have actually had a respectful, professional communication with Mr. Dorff, and I said, listen, you have a great product. You know, this development that he has could solve a lot of our problems. I said, but build it where there's already impervious surfaces. Go to the Flea World property. Let's do it there. But he couldn't. But anyway, so I'm big with positive solutions to these problems.
Thank you. Candidate Dallari, the next question is yours. Consultants hired by the county to review the land development code and county staff may make a recommendation that the county commission reduce the 25% open space requirement for the planned development zoning designation. Do you support reducing the 25% open space requirement for PDAs or not?
No, I don't support that. It's important that we ensure that we have that quality of life, open space for all people that live in Seminole County. That 25% is critical. In fact, the reason why it's important to put your input in for that land development code is look at it, and it gets a little technical at times, but don't look at it from a technical standpoint. Just look at it from a topic standpoint. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. If you don't like something, tell us what it is. We'll try to interpret it. Our staff will do that, and we'll try to understand what you mean. There are other things in the land development code besides the open space that I think needs to be addressed. When can you go to planned unit development? When can you go mixed use? Those criteria need to be spelled out because there are developers that are using that as a caveat to maneuver through the land development code to get what they want. So it's okay to look at things. It's important to look at things to see how things change and see how things need to be strengthened. And I'm telling you this because everyone here needs to give us their opinion. Looking at the land development code is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Look at it, tell us what you like, what you don't like. But to your question, Deborah, I would not be supporting going less than 25%. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Morgan, next question is yours. The former Deer Run Golf Course has been closed since May of 2019. As the District 1 Commissioner, what would you do to ensure the county purchased the land and converted it to a public park?
This is another one where it really doesn't matter what each elected official thinks. It's supposed to be what that silent majority wants, specifically the Deer Run folk, right? That have lived there for God knows how long and are very proud of that green space. But for this, I definitely do agree with having the county purchase it, and if turning it into a park or something of that in which we still protect it, it's still a large green space. Because the other options that we continue to see on the table are, unfortunately, development, real development, in which they're going to pack it, jam pack it, all right, with more and more and more housing, all right, because it's an easier way to add to the tax base. Everybody knows that. It's a lazy way to add to your tax base. I would also throw it out there, another way that we need to be as a county being able to fund said park is not necessarily with taxpayers' dollars. Right? This is not our piggy bank. This is your money. And we need to stop reaching in your back pockets to pay for everything, especially for legacy projects. You only have legacy projects when you're in office for X amount of years. All right? But you're supposed to be going to branch. You're supposed to be being a salesperson on behalf of your taxpayers and getting out there. I don't care what you have to do, shake the pom-poms, do whatever you need to do. Get these brands involved that want to be. South Seminole Hospital wants to be involved. Advent Health, oh my Lord, wants to be involved. Publix keeps chomping at the bit to contribute. While coronavirus is happening, might I add. So why are we not getting out there and getting other bigger brands to not just come into our cities and just take over these plots of land, but more importantly, financially invest, not just emotionally invest, financially invest in our city. And we need somebody to get out there and do that. I've done it in Longwood ad nauseum, and I'll do it on behalf of Seminole County as a whole. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. New round. So the first question in this round goes to Commissioner Dallari. Over the last 2 decades, the city of Casselberry has annexed major portions of this Deer Run subdivision at the intersection of Eagle Circle and Redbud Lake Road. As the District 1 Commissioner, how would you help the residents of Deer Run if municipalities that surround the PD, like Casselberry or Winter Springs, attempted further actions to try to annex portions of the subdivision if the residents didn't want to be annexed?
Great question. We actually have some experience with that. I think it was about 7 years ago, I'm going by memory, I have to check the records. City of Casselberry was trying to aggressively annex Deer Run. And you may have noticed that on your water bill. There was a notice on the water bill, the people who lived here back then. We heard about it. We actually spoke to the City of Casselberry. We worked with them and convinced them that that wasn't a good idea. Because aggressive annexation is never a good idea. It's never a good idea to shove something down someone's throat. So I do have some experience with that. I did work with, I think it was Manny. Is Manny still there? I think he was with the POA or something. We had an issue with Deer Eagle Circle and Red Lake Road. There's a monument sign there. And the county staff found out that the monument sign was in the right of way. And we were gonna knock it down. We had the right to knock it down, but it wasn't the right thing. So I worked with the county staff and county attorneys, and we actually vacated the right of way 1 inch around the complete monument sign. So now that belongs to some HOA here. I don't know who it is, but someone. But getting back to your original question, Deborah, it's important to have relationships with the cities, have a great working relationship, be with the city of Longwood. In fact, I worked with the mayor and was telling him about a problem that they were having on 434 and Ronald Reagan Boulevard with the traffic lights. We actually fixed that for them. And we have another phase as well. But it's important that you have elected officials that have good working relationships and ensure that things are being done correctly. But to answer your question, in working with the city of Casselberry, we were able to convince them that that wasn't the right thing to do. And it didn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Morgan, the next question is for you. Consultants and county staff are set to present the current commission with a recommendation to change the plan development zoning next Tuesday. They are going to recommend that the county reduce the 25% open space requirement for plan developments. This requirement has been one of the main reasons that plan developments like Deer Run have been able to keep homes from being built on former golf courses. Would you support a change like this or not?
Less than 25%? No, absolutely not out of the question. And maybe that's why only 19% of my campaign contributions have come from developers. Like I said, guys, I'm as transparent as it gets. Painfully so sometimes. What you see is what you get. So before I sit down with any of these people and I chat with them, they know where I'm at on whatever upcoming projects they have going on in our county. Like I said, up to this date, until tomorrow's report comes out for our financial disclosure reports for campaign contributions, 19% from, again, developers, 57% from developers. And again, sometimes it's good being transparent, sometimes it's not. If that's costing me in the long run on campaign contributions, I don't care. I got elected in Longwood against a 24-year incumbent and a 2-year term serving incumbent because of one thing. I'm as real gets, and that's what we need right now more than ever. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Ms. Shadix, the next question is for you. Should not be a surprise, you may have heard something about this before, but a consultant hired by the county to review the land development code and county staff may recommend that the commission change laws requiring a minimum of 25% open or green space in all plan development zonings. If you were a commissioner, would you support this change or not?
Absolutely not. And if you ask me, it should be increased. The motto for Seminole County is Florida's natural choice. Why are we even having a discussion about reducing green space? The land development code that they're doing, they're kind of getting things put together to be more consistent. And that definitely needs some public input. So if y'all can go and give your input and definitely speak out against decreasing that 25%, that would be great. But there's something coming out that's really important in 2024. That's going to be the charter review. The charter, the Seminole County Charter, is kind of like the constitution for our county. And in 2023, the commissioners get to appoint several people to that charter review committee. I think it's very important. I would love if people in this audience would apply for that. It's going to be something I'm going to start working on immediately because this will determine, this is going to steer the future of Seminole County is the charter. And that's where our solid protections are gonna come in. Not the land development code, that's one thing, the charter. And right now, all it takes is 3 votes to get land developed, to do anything. It takes 3 votes. I've been working with my environmental attorney, who is Leslie Blackner. Y'all can look her up. She actually got a ballot on the, she got an initiative on the ballot a few years ago. It's called Hometown Democracy. And had that passed, it would be the people voting for land use and zoning changes, not commissioners. And you can imagine there's heavy opposition by development. The Chambers of Commerce spent 20 to 40 million fighting that amendment that she got on there. But anyway, I'm fortunate enough that Leslie Blackner, the Leslie Blackner, is the attorney for me whenever I want to sue developers or county commissions or city commissions for doing the wrong thing. She works pro bono. She's passionate about stopping this urban sprawl. She knows what the environmental hazards are, what it's doing to our water, what it's doing, our stormwater. That's a whole other animal we can't get into right now. But she and I have been working for 2 years. When we first saw the threat from River Cross 2 years ago, she and I started working on how we would revamp the Seminole County Charter. One of those is requiring all 5 a unanimous vote from the commissioners to do any kind of changes to take any land out of the rural boundary. And that will save, I think that will help, because sometimes, let's say in election years, and I'm not insinuating anyone is doing this now at the Seminole County Commission, but in other races, you have a land development issue come up, and it's an election year. And so the 3 commissioners say, hey, we're gonna vote this. The other 2 who are running for office say, we're gonna vote against it so we can save face with the people, and we won't lose votes. We need to stop that. It needs to be an all-5 vote.
Okay, new round of questions. We're going to begin with you, Mr. Morgan. How can residents of Deer Run in Seminole County trust you to be fiscally responsible as a commissioner when you were quoted in a July 2020 Orlando Sentinel article saying that you didn't pay close attention to where your own campaign contributions, including money from dark money PACs, had come from?
Well, unfortunately, Martin Gomez, who did that article, misquoted me. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I do not personally handle the campaign contributions that come into Matt Morgan in my campaign. My treasurer does. Again, the minute you start telling people you will not accept money from a certain person, and it's only just to entertain you, it's to get up on a soapbox and just to pass the blame, honestly. All right? The minute you tell people you're not going to take money from this group of people is the minute you tell everybody else, 57% developers, that your vote is up for sale. That is exactly what that does. But as far as that goes, I'll do you one better. I'm the first mayor in the city of Longwood since 2014 to balance our general fund in the black, and I'm very proud of that. That being fiscally responsible. Being fiscally responsible is, again, what I said earlier. Stop reaching into your constituents' back pockets for legacy projects. See no further than Sunrail. That is a debacle, and it's been a debacle, and someone needs to do something about it. Thank you for the opportunity yet again, ma'am.
Ms. Shadix, next question is to you. Seminole County is currently facing a budget shortfall for the next fiscal year. What are your ideas about how to help meet this shortfall for 2021?
First of all, no tax raising this year. We're all going through COVID. People are out of work. We cannot raise taxes to fix this problem. The first thing that I want to do is go through that budget, and there's so many pages. I don't know, Bob might know exactly how many pages that budget is, line by line, and trim the fat. And it sounds cliche, but Seminole County, we have a pretty good quality of life. We bring in a lot of tax revenue, and we spend it. There's some senseless spending that needs to stop. One thing is, I don't know if y'all know this, but there is a homeless consultant that is paid $96,000 a year. So what are we consulting? That's $96,000. That's more than a commissioner makes. Who is this person? Did they get a job from a friend of a commissioner? You don't know. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just a quarter of the tip of the iceberg. What I'm saying is there's wasteful spending in our budget. There's so much that can be cut. If we trim the fat and trim it appropriately, we'd have that money in 2 minutes to buy the golf course. So there's no need to raise taxes, there's no need to, you know, cut people short and decrease their pay or whatever these horrible things are. We have a lot of money in Seminole County. So these shortfalls, we don't really have shortfalls, it's just wasteful spending, and that we need to curb, you know? Like, Mama needs to come in and get the budget in order, because it's been a little out of control for a long time.
Thank you. Candidate Dallari, the next question is to you. Sterling Park Elementary is at approximately 99% capacity for student enrollment. There is no land around the elementary school that could be purchased to construct new homes or increase parking. As a county commissioner, how would you assist the school board to improve the capacity issues and parking issues which Sterling Park currently faces?
Thank you. First of all, I've actually looked at the drop-off and pickup of Sterling Park several times. And standing out on that road sometimes take your life in your own matter, in your own hands, I should say. The bottom line is you're going to need additional land, and I really believe you can get that additional land through the golf course. The golf course is purchased by the county, and I'm the one that actually sponsored that back in May of this year. If you check the tapes, you can actually see me speaking to the rest of the county commission on that. So what you didn't hear at that meeting was, I'm hoping that we can actually do that, and there's an actual plan to do that. I can spell it out for you. It's going to take more than 3 minutes. But if we were to do that, you can actually move the parking lot or a portion of the parking lot across the road. Have to put a decent crosswalk in, and then you're going to have enough room to build another building. It's not that difficult. Being able to spend time working with people, actually being in the neighborhoods, that's what I do. Like I said earlier, one of my passions is walking, and I walk a lot of the roads, and I spend a lot of time understanding what's really happening. And the golf course can be purchased by the county, and there's ways to do that, and ways to do it without costing the residents, because there's 3,000 homes here, and these are families. And we can actually do it to save people from the other side of the county can actually capitalize on that, and be more than happy to talk about it. Hopefully there's a question coming up for that. So to answer your question, the county needs to purchase the golf course. We moved the parking lot on the other side of the road, and then the school now has additional land to build a building. It's moving the cheese.
Thank you. Okay, next round, Ms. Shadix, the first question will go to you. What is your campaign's policy on accepting money from so-called dark money PACs?
Well, I don't, and I did in 2018, and that's why I have those little additions to my sign that says refuses developer dollars. In 2018, when I ran, I only accepted about $13,000, and I only lost by 0.25%. I only lost by 412 votes. So I had the highest ROI, which is return on investment, in the county's history. And I pride myself on working on a shoestring budget with my nonprofit, and that goes into my campaign. It would go into the county to spend wisely. And although, you know, it does cost a lot of money, and I understand why people accept developers, I do. I'm just not going to be the one to do it. And for the record, I've refused over $100,000 in developer money. I could have had the best campaign ever, but I didn't. So I figure I'm just going to stick with my morals and go like I've done my whole life, which is work hard with the little and get, you know, a lot of results with what I'm working with. And I'm not going to accept money. And I don't even know if they would offer it to me at this point, because it's kind of a known thing. It's kind of a joke. I'm not going to, you know, I just don't think they're going to offer it, but I would refuse it. Like I said, 2 $50,000 payments I've refused. And that's it. That's how I feel. But this isn't a slight on anyone who accepts money. I don't want to say that. This is just my personal choice. And I understand the acceptance of, you know, just because someone takes developer money doesn't mean they're brainwashed and going to make, you know, a decision for the developer. But it's just my choice not to. I'm never going to. And, you know, if I lose the election because of it, I'm going to lose feeling good about what I did during the campaign. Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Dallari, the next question is to you in a similar vein. Why do you think you can remain impartial on issues that come before the commission if those issues are related to individuals or businesses from whom you have taken campaign contributions during a prior election?
I can honestly tell you that there's more times than not, I've voted against people who give me money. When people give you money, there's no guarantees, there's no promise, there's no anything. All what people ask me is to be fair, to be open-minded. And I will tell you that I voted against many developments. I voted against many projects. I have no problem saying to someone no, but I'll be honest with them, I'll be transparent. That's one of the reasons why I get along with people, because I'm transparent. I try to be as transparent as one can ever be, but at the same token, there are no commitments. And I will tell you that when people give me money for my campaign, it's because they'll trust me to do what's right for the community at the whole, not for them. And that's the reason why I've been successful. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, the next question is to you. As the District 1 Commissioner, how would you work with the City of Casselberry to alleviate congestion that will occur at the intersection of Eagle Circle and Red Bug Lake Road once the new 400-unit apartment home complex currently being built there opens later this year?
First and foremost, yikes, why are we even in this situation to begin with? We have the Dallari, so I can go back in time and vote against putting that in place to begin with. We shouldn't be in this position to begin with. That's the real answer. But nonetheless, you gotta think on the fly, obviously, and be able to do what's best for everybody, obviously, with this situation. We have it, and despite what Commissioner Dallari said earlier, no, we have a terrible 434 Ronald Reagan intersection. That light is the bane of our city's existence. It still doesn't move. So one of the reasons I do want to run for county commissioner is so I can have a bigger voice in working with everybody from our DOT all the way up to be able to make sure that things like this don't happen to begin with. But in the short term, everybody always will like to throw out there with some of the questions earlier. You had asked others about speed bumps and things like that. By the time, for every time someone in Longwood wanted a speed bump put in, I would be a millionaire. It usually ends up those same people want those pulled back up, and it just is on the taxpayers' money at the end of the day. Again, this is not our personal piggy bank. This is not our personal playground. All right, this is every single red cent that we spend is supposed to be done on what your wishes are at the end of the day. So I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more round of questions, just to let the candidates know this will be your final question before we go to closing statements. Candidate Dallari, you have the first of the final questions. Your question is, the former country club at Deer Run closed in May 2019. Residents fear the owner because he has said he wishes to build houses on the land. Do you think it makes sense for Seminole County to buy the former golf course, or are there other things the county can do to help protect the residents of Deer Run from this land being developed?
Thank you. The first thing to do is to ensure that 25% open space doesn't get changed. That's the first thing on the table. Second thing is, as I said a couple minutes ago, I was the one that actually sponsored the idea of purchasing the golf course. And there's a way to purchase the golf course where it's not costing you, the residents of 3,000 families, or the county outside this area, money. The way we actually looked at it was, I brought it up when we were talking about the allocation of groundwater. The county has what they call, when they pull water out of the ground, it's called a consumptive use permit. Try not to get too complicated. And we actually do a blended cup consumptive use permit across the entire county. So if the county was to purchase the golf course, that water is actually valuable. So if we cap the wells, we can actually save the aquifer. By not having a golf course, we're not putting chemicals on the golf course, fertilizer. The state and federal government also requires us to clean up the stormwater, called total maximum daily levels of pollutants, TMDLs. So we don't have to clean it up. So by capping the well, saving the aquifer, and not having to clean up the stormwater because we've already polluted it from the golf course, we're actually saving money. You can actually do wetland restoration, and I believe through the utilities you can actually pay for a lot of this. The county actually had to spend about a little over $1.5 million several years ago to put in that stormwater retention pond on the other side of Red Bluff Lake Road going into Lake Howard, because there is no pollution abatement on your side. No fault of yours, it was the developer's problem, we had to fix it. Taxpayers had to fix it, we actually got a grant from the St. John's Water Management District to do it. So there is a way to do this. We actually did it with Rolling Hills. Rolling Hills was owned by John Morgan, Morgan & Morgan. No relationship to this man. But they wanted to put townhomes there. We actually fought them. It took us 5 years to purchase it. First time it's ever happened in the state of Florida. So yes, I do have the experience. And we can actually get this done. I need your help to do it, and we need to be partners. And I can tell you, the people from Rolling Hills, it's great walking in that area now, because one time, those homes were going to go up for sale at a low rate. Now they're premium, and people can't buy them quick enough. That's how fast they're sold. That's how I see Deer Run happen when we purchased Deer Run. So help me, help you, and let's get across the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Morgan, your last question is, you've said that you see yourself as, quote, a conduit of the majority, and that you do not think it's fair for a, quote, vocal minority to receive special treatment. Do you see residents in a neighborhood like Deer Run as a vocal minority? And if so, how does that affect how you will be able to represent us if elected to the county commission?
You guys are underselling yourself if you call yourself a vocal minority. Good Lord. You guys have massive numbers of residents. But again, goes back to what I was saying earlier about having a much better communication and relationship with our city commissions. Nobody knows your city better than your city commissions, because they're all supposed to be 5 conduits representing each city. I'm telling you, there is a humongous divide between the county commission and city commissions all across Seminole County. And so I've already heard about this from other Casselberry officials. I'm Longwood. I shouldn't be hearing about that, right? But that's how big of an issue this is. This is a big issue. This is right there with the rural boundary, I would argue as well, as far as people across our county being very knowledgeable about this. So let me tell you, as a city mayor, this is not the vocal minority here talking about this and care about this and want somebody that's actually not going to double talk about making sure we protect it, but actually put their money where their mouth is. And I'm not in this to make a career out of this. I'm in this to hit the ground as hard as I can, make as much positive impact as possible, and be your voices, and then get out and move on and groom somebody else along. I will argue when you've been in office for as long as others have been in office, it is most certainly a career. So much so that you take it for granted and work another full-time job on the side. Thank you.
Ms. Shadix, you have the honor of having our very last question. So, to the best of what we were able to determine, we couldn't find if you had a campaign website or not. Do you have one, or if you don't, do you plan on creating one and putting any of your campaign platforms in writing before the November election?
Yes, I do plan on doing that. My son is, like I said, I'm working on a shoestring budget. I'm not taking developer money. I don't have a lot in my campaign budget, but my son is designing my website. He's halfway through. To finish it, we had to wait until we finished this semester, which was Monday, and he got the differential equations, some crazy math thing with a 98 average. So Monday when he finished, he got his test, and I said, all right, now I need to work on the website. So we're gonna have that up. And I think one of my platforms that will be on the website is, I don't think people know how much urban sprawl houses cost us in taxes. The average urban sprawl house costs $5,500 per year per house in services. That's the fire, the schools, the water, police, roads. If a house is built within city limits on existing pervious surfaces with existing services, we only pay $500 per year per house. So if we want to talk about, not raising taxes and getting the budget in order, we can save people a lot of money by having smart development. We don't want to stop all development because education, our schools are the economic driver. We know at 100% certainty people move to Seminole County because of our schools. So we are going to have to keep building. Unfortunately, we can't build a wall to stop people from coming here. It's a great county, that's why people want to come here. But we have to do it intelligently, we have to support ethical capitalism, and we have to do it responsibly to where we're saving money, so we're not paying out for people to move in from out of state. You know, the people that live here need to be taken care of first. We don't need to bend over backwards to accommodate people. We need to do smart development, keep our taxes down, and to create that ethical capitalism. And it's so easy to do. A lot of people are ready. We have builders, we have developers that are ready to do the right thing. They just need that encouragement. They need that bridge of communication that they haven't had. So I'm ready to do that. I've worked with the most notorious developer, Chris Dorworth, and got him to design the most environmentally friendly development. He wanted to put it on a wilderness area, so that was a non-starter. But if he could take that, put it on the Freehold property, a lot of tax revenue is going to be created, lots of new jobs. I mean, it's a win-win. And you know, we have environmentally responsible development. I think that's what we go for. We need to just turn the corner and get a brighter, more positive future for Seminole County. I think we can do it. Thanks.
Thank you. We're now going to enter the final portion of tonight's presentations. Since Ms. Shadix was the last to give her opening statement, we're going to go ahead and let you go first to give the first of the opening, or excuse me, first of the closing statements. You have 3 minutes.
So closing statement, I think everyone knows here, I'm here, I'm a hometown girl, I'm not going anywhere, and I am invested heart and soul and body and mind in this county. I'm not going anywhere. I want to put this county, I think Seminole County is a diamond in the rough. I think we can be the leader on a new, bright economy instead of, I know a lot of economy depends on building. And that's why we've catered to developers, because they're supposedly bringing in money, they're building the houses. I think there's other areas where we can create a better economy, a sustainable economy, ethical economy, which maybe solar production, maybe hemp farming. I mean, there are other towns and states and cities do this. Seminole County has been behind the curve in environmental issues, in affordable housing, and I think this is the year 2020 is the year to get on the right path. But one of the things that I would love to do is start a community outreach, and that's where, I don't know if y'all have ever looked through a Seminole County agenda for a meeting. Has anyone ever looked through one of those? So you look through it, and I see hieroglyphics. Like, I have to have a translator for that agenda. Like, well, and, you know, I see something, but what does it actually mean? What I would propose doing is every weekend before the county commission meetings, which are every other Tuesday, I would like to go out into the communities, have these town hall meetings where, like what we're doing now, where I would bring the agenda. I said, this is what we're going to be voting on. This is what it means. And what is your input? I know y'all can't get to the meeting, so you tell me how you feel about this issue, so I can make a vote based on what the actual community feels, not what, you know, because a lot of stuff gets sort of passed in under the rug, you know, when nobody attends these meetings. So I want to take your voice here and take it into the county commission meetings. I think that would be very effective to enable citizens to have a voice. I have a ton of plans for Seminole County. I have an environmental attorney who's going to do all the work for free. We're going to stop irresponsible development by the golf course. And by the way, golf courses are being now turned into wildlands and pollinator gardens all over the country. I have a couple articles on that. So the possibilities are endless. We just have to have a person with the heart and the intelligence and the passion to make this happen. I think I'm that person. I hope y'all vote for me. And just to let you know on a positive note, if I don't win, I will be working in a positive manner with either Matt or Bob. I don't hold grudges, you know, it's all about working together, putting principles above politics, and getting stuff done for the good of the county. So thank you.
Mr. Morgan, you're up next.
So I don't know if you all been keeping score at home, especially those at home on Facebook Live watching this. What are some of the things we've not spoken about? Because I've heard a lot about land deals, development, green space, all the things that are very important, no question about it. But I'm also still waiting to hear some things about leadership, real leadership. Real leadership is not showing up to commission meetings and sitting and voting on land deals and calling it a day. That's not real leadership. Real leadership is giving 146 speeches to our county kids' schools here in Seminole, as well as a touch in Orange County as well. And using your platform as a real leader, not a politician, not even an elected official, but a leader in this world, in this community, more importantly, of making sure we are shaping our young minds of tomorrow. Not being teachers, by instead showing by example of what one person can do for an entire community if they just get out of their own way and sit there and open up and offer themselves legitimately to the community. Very proud to be appointed to Seminole County Opioid Council by Sheriff Dennis Lima. I myself, I'm a 14-year recovered addict. Think I'm embarrassed by that? No, I'm proud to be recovered 14 years. And I share that message with all of our kids' schools. I also share about dreaming big. That might sound a little cheesy and cliche, but as a kid who grew up in special education, took the small bus to school and overcame that and became the first college graduate in my family, I'm proud of that. That's a message to share with our kids, especially kids that have seen me on the television set for 13 straight years. That's a big deal. I take that seriously. And I do the same as an elected official. Our kids are excited now in Longwood about, I had kids out there holding my signs the other day, they were driving by in the streets just wanting to come up and help me. I didn't ask them to. They did it because I give back to my community. That's what a real leader does. It's not about just the meetings, it's about what are you doing in between the meetings. And that's what real leadership is all about. I thank you all for the opportunity, and I hope to sincerely earn each and every one of your votes. It's the most personal thing you can ask of somebody, and I believe you need to get up off your butt and personally get everybody's vote one-on-one. Talk to me afterwards, or call me when you guys get an opportunity. You're telling me to stop. Sorry. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Candidate Dallari, you have the final 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. Seminole County is called Florida's natural choice. It's not by accident, it is a plan. We are Florida's natural choice for many things. Seminole County is #1 in the state county. Rated. It's rated from all the other counties in the state. We can show you that. We have the best schools. We have the best first responders. Both police and fire, paramedics. Make no mistake, they are the best. We have one of the lowest tax rates in the region. We have the highest quality of life, best trails. You can see it yourself. We're not perfect, but we try to strive for it. That's why we call Florida's natural choice. I believe in being transparent. Back in 2007 and 2008, when we had the downturn in the economy, we were able to get the economy back in running as quick as we did. So I have that experience. Why is experience important? When you call a maintenance guy, or you call someone to do service at your house, you want the guy to do it the first time, or you want someone that's done it several times? When you go to the doctor's office, you want someone that just came out of medical school, or someone who's been doing it for several years? Experience counts. I need your help. I need your help to get elected. I need your vote. I'm a public servant. I pride myself on being a public servant. I'm your public servant. I do not call myself a politician. I call myself an elected official. There's a huge difference. I believe I have the experience. I believe I have the background to get the things that need to be accomplished. In the background, in the back area, I have some campaign signs for the yards. I have some brochures. Please take one. If you have any questions, my cell phone is on the back of that handout. Don't ever hesitate to call me. I'm always available. I represent you, and I will always listen. Listening is probably the most important thing for this job. I can tell you that with my experience. Listening is the #1 thing. The other #1 thing that you have to do is be empathetic. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. Understand what those issues are. I will tell you that I've actually fought many times, months after months, on a particular issue, where even my fellow elected officials thought I was crazy. But at the end, we found solutions. Several people thought we couldn't do Rolling Hills. The state thought we couldn't do it. The county staff thought we couldn't do it. But we as the elected officials here in Seminole counties, we actually did it. The first time it ever happened in the state of Florida. History. Why? Because we're persistent. Why? Because you matter. Why? Because Seminole County is Florida's natural choice. Why? It's because Seminole County is rated #1 in the state. Make no mistake. We are the best. We want to keep it that way. I need your help. Please get the vote out. please vote Bob Dallari. Thank you.